everybody, and welcome. that that was too much. I'm doing too much there.
Child. Anyway, so
Hi guys, welcome to my second YouTube video. Yay! We out here. So I'm still using my iPhone, but I figured I could use at least my headphone microphone, so it might sound a little better. We will see. But I'm filming this one from the comfort of my apartment. This is my fiance's art corner, if you couldn't tell. But yeah, I think lighting is good, so at least we got there. But welcome, and today I'm gonna walk you guys through 10 major things that I wish I knew before I moved to New York City. So without further ado, first of all, thank you for coming back and watching my second video.
I love you.
If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. You have nothing to lose. No one cares how many people you subscribe to on YouTube, unlike Instagram. Also, if you want to like the video, I will love you forever. The first thing I wish I knew before I moved to New York City is the fact that it's a constant battle to even feel content here. I don't mean this in a fully negative way, but what I'm saying is in New York City, no matter what, you are constantly exposed to and surrounded by people that are doing more, people that have more, and people that have accomplished more than you have. I feel like that goes for any location, but I feel like it's overwhelmingly noticeable in New York City. There's always going to be someone with a better apartment than you, a better outfit on than you, a better job than you, a better life, so it seems, than you. That was a feeling I didn't really have back home when I lived in California. I always felt like I was a step ahead and doing great for all things considered, my age and whatever. But when I came to New York City, I'm surrounded by 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds that live in multi-million-dollar penthouses and like there's always going to be someone who's better off and doing better objectively. However, I think it's important that at the end of the day, to take a moment and feel proud of your accomplishments and kind of try to take a step back and look at my life from an outsider's perspective. Just anywhere in the world, someone looking at my life, what would they think? Despite me not living an ultra glamorous bougie lifestyle here in New York City, it's still a damn good accomplishment to have achieved living here fully independently. I mean, I moved here when I was 22 and now I'm 24 and I've been making it happen independently this whole time. I'm in my early 20s, you can't be too hard on yourself, and I think it's important to not let comparison get the best of you. Number 2, my second thing I wish I knew before moving to New York City, or maybe considered a little bit more, is that taxes here are high AF. Even if you're on a great salary or have a great paying job and, money is flowing in and you can consistently rely on your income, you're still walking away with significantly less each time you get paid than you would be if you lived elsewhere. This definitely was a shock to me. When I moved here, right before I moved here, I had gotten a raise at my old job and I figured I would be flying high roller out here once I moved to New York City.
Money, money, money.
And even with my raise, once I got here and once I got everything in order and I switched to being a New York resident and started paying New York resident taxes, when I got that first paycheck after my raise, I had less than I would have had before my raise. Like, I got a raise and I was making less than what I was making back home before my raise. So that was a shock, and required a huge lifestyle adjustment and budgeting and cutting back on spending. I feel like back in California, it was doable for me to go shopping and to buy myself something nice every once in a while. I would just buy more things and buy myself nice clothes and accessories and whatever. And now I don't really do that. I don't really practice what I preach because I prioritize being comfortable and having a roof over my head and having a car and other things. But I wish I would have considered the fact that the tax rate here is quite frankly insane. It's definitely not for everyone, and if you are thinking of moving to New York, it will require a huge lifestyle adjustment if you live somewhere with lower taxes. But We can't have it all. It is what it is, unless something changes, but that's unlikely. Okay, my third point, and I hope I can speak this eloquently enough, or at least you guys get what I'm getting at. But my third thing I wish I knew before moving to New York City is that you need to unlearn the fear that surrounds New York City. So what I mean by this is I feel like growing up and not being in New York and having a perspective of New York as you see on the news or in media, pop culture, whatever it is, you're taught from an early age that New York City is unsafe, is overran by crime, and that you need to be cautious 24/7. While that is true, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to not be cautious always, but what I'm trying to get at when it comes to unlearning fear is that New York City is a small area of land in this country with a lot of people living in it. So it can be expected, and I think it's a good perspective to have, that crime is not necessarily higher, but there is more of it because there's more people here. There's a ton of people here. Crime happens everywhere. Bad things happen everywhere. There just happens to be more people here. So it seems like it's a lot higher when I feel like really it's a normal amount just based on a population size. I feel like that's just not making sense. But I feel like every day there's at least one moment where I pause my music and I walk a little faster. No matter what, there's always going to be those moments, and that's inevitable. However, I want to stress the point that you should not be afraid of New York City and should not be afraid of the crime or just have a perspective that it's an unsafe place, because I feel like the root of the fear that surrounds the city is based in classism, number one, and racism, number two. I don't condone being scared walking around Brooklyn, walking around trains, whatever it is. I try to always see the best of the situation, and I try to always recognize that my ability to even sense fear in itself is a privilege, because there's so many people living on the streets that can't escape fear and there's nothing they can do about it. And I also feel like you can't be judgmental and see someone and just automatically be afraid of them, because I feel like outsiders, especially tourists, I see it all the time on the train, they'll see someone dressed maybe a little raggedy or have dirt on their clothes. I don't know if raggedy is the right word. It's a hard point to try to make, but what you think you should be afraid of is not necessarily what is actually going to be scary in the city. I'm more afraid of drunken finance midtown bros late at night than I am our unhoused neighbors that are just trying to sleep on the train. So unlearning fear and changing your perspective of fear in the city is that point. Hopefully you guys get what I'm trying to get at. Number 4, kind of tying into that point, up next, I wish I had known or had better prepared for the fact that you cannot be passive with your privilege in New York City. What I mean by this, again, another thing that's going to be hard to explain, and there's so many good writers out there and better voices that can touch on this point than I can, so I'm not claiming this as my own original point. My perspective is, and my experience is, if you are a white individual and you are making money in New York City, even if it's not a lot, but if you are white and you live in the city and you make money here, the very least you can do with your privilege is to help underprivileged communities whenever humanly possible. That is the least you can do. There's a lot of learnings that I have tried to really instill in myself to recognize my privilege being here. I live in a neighborhood that is historically a Black neighborhood, and throughout history there were many horrible things that happened in this neighborhood, many protests for good causes that were met with brutal police force, people being dishoused because of gentrification at the end of the day. And if you turn a blind eye to the history and you just come here and you move in and you judge the community that you live in, you have some serious personal issues. Maybe you don't see them as issues, but you have some personal things you need to work on and recognize in yourself as a white person. On that point, I think there's no real answer or solution to this, and it is incredibly unfortunate to see how the city is changing in this short time that I've been here. I've watched my neighborhood, which, as I mentioned, is a historically Black neighborhood and still is a majority Black neighborhood. I've witnessed them tear down or use empty plots of lands. All around me, they're building high-rise luxury apartments for people to move into because, hey, it's deeper into Brooklyn, but I can afford it and it's right along the train, yada, yada, yada. And I know it's ironic because I'm guilty. You know, I live here. I moved here because it's what I could afford, but I am taking up space in a space that is not historically mine. And I recognize that and I do feel guilty on that, but I also do try. Again, the very least I can do is to help my community and support this community whenever humanly possible. So if you're moving to New York City, don't just move here and think it's an aesthetic, cool place. Oh, I live in Brooklyn. Oh, this, oh, that. Know the history, know what land you're stepping into, know where you're taking up space, and do something productive for those who are directly affected by your actions moving here. Number 5, I think we got through the heavy stuff. We're going to lighten it up a little bit. So the 5th thing I wish I had known before moving to New York City is that the sidewalk will provide. It's a holy saying. I had no clue about this word before I moved here, but stoop sales, stooping is the act of taking free things from the sidewalk. And people in New York City, we're busy. We don't have time to play around. We don't have space to keep things that we don't want. So it is quite common and quite it's just a cultural thing where whenever people are moving, especially at the beginning of the month or the end of the month, if you walk around your neighborhood, chances are there's going to be couches, there's going to be chairs, there's going to be furniture on the sidewalk that says free, and you can just take it, which is amazing. There even is an Instagram which has gone semi-viral. Stooping NYC is a great resource if you're just starting stooping and you want to find some cool stuff for free. Community members just take a picture and share it to them and they post it with the location, and if you're the first person to get there, you get the item, which is cool. But I personally regret not spending more time trying to stoop items for my apartment. I feel like I took the easy way out and I went to IKEA and I just bought stuff and I used Amazon. But there's so many times where I see something on the sidewalk and I'm like, wow, I could have gotten that for free and not spent money at IKEA. And if I had just played it out a little longer and really put effort into driving around and seeing what I could find, I could have easily furnished my whole apartment for free. That is not a difficult or impossible thing to do. You can do that. So if you do move here, definitely utilize stooping to get as many free things as you can. Number 6 is going to be savvy on the subway always. Always, always, always. No matter what. You never know what is going to happen the minute you step on the train. And I have unfortunately had many negative experiences on the train, but I do take it daily to get to work, to get around the city. Even though I have a car, having a car in New York City does not mean you can use your car daily. You would have to pay for parking and it's not cute, and no. So 9 times out of 10, I am taking the train daily here in New York City. Again, ladies, anyone, not even ladies, literally anyone, carry pepper spray, carry personal protection equipment, be vigilant. Don't just zone out. Don't just read your book with your headphones on. I always have headphones on and, I look occupied, but I always am looking around at my surroundings, and if something feels off or if I notice something happening, pause the music. I pause my music. You should pause the music. Keep the headphones on so you have that barrier. If someone who might be a little creepy or something tries to talk to you, you have that barrier to pretend you don't hear them, but you should be actively listening and assessing your surroundings literally always, 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 okay? You don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen to me on the train, and I've had some crazy stories happen to me on the train now. So even if you're the most vigilant person ever, there's still a little bit of a risk every time you get on a train here, and that's just the reality of being confined in a small space with no escape with strangers for stretches at a time until you get to the next stop, whatever. But yeah, you should not just dilly-dally on the train. If you move here, always be cautious when you take the train. Number 7, on the topic of one, community, but also safety, you should instantly befriend your super. If you have a super in your apartment or your building, befriend that super first and foremost. You should also consider befriending your most closest or most frequently stopped in bodega or even smoke shop man. I have a smoke shop man near my work in Manhattan, and his name is Jesus, and I love him with all of my heart. I genuinely stop in to say hi to him every morning before I go to work. But I know if worse came to worst and something happened that was horrible or scary in the city and I'm at work, I am running to that smoke shop and I am teaming up with Jesus, and I know he has my back. Okay, so form those connections. You should also definitely try to get at least friendly or acquainted with your neighbors, and if you can exchange phone numbers just in case, you absolutely should do so. I mean, life in general is crazy, but when you live in a city with so many people and so many possibilities, you definitely want to form a community of people close by that you know. If someone's following you, you can go to that person. If something's happening to you, you could call that person. Whatever it is, super, bodega or smoke shop man, and neighbors are going to be your most essential contacts in a moment of crisis or panic or whatever it is. It's just a comforting thing to know you have those people available to you. Number 8, if you want to be popular in New York City, then you need to study up and learn public restroom locations. If you can be anywhere in the city and know within at least a 10-block radius where there is a public restroom, you are going to be loved by many. I feel like back home in California, no matter what, it's if you gotta go, there's gonna be a grocery store, there's gonna be a Starbucks, a coffee shop, a restaurant, whatever, that is going to let you use your bathroom, their bathroom, not your bathroom. But in New York City, that is not really the case, and public restrooms can be actually quite tricky to come across. So when you move here, you should try, there's apps for it, there's people on TikTok that help shout out public restrooms in New York City, and that's actually a great skill to have. Like, it's silly, but it also is kind of vital, especially if you're away from your apartment for a whole day. Like, if you are like me and you live in Brooklyn but you're gonna go to Manhattan for the whole day, you better know where some bathrooms are. Okay. Number 9, another thing I wish I knew before I moved to New York City is that it can be lonely here, but I feel like everyone feels that when they move here, and as a result, people are hungry to form connections and build community, which is actually a very beautiful thing. Your community, in my experience and seeing other people's, I feel like your community in New York City will naturally find you. If you move here without moving with a friend, or you don't have a friend group to really land and morph into, I feel like with a few months' time, you're naturally just going to have this beautiful community form around you. For me, I've never really had like a super close friend group where like we talk every day, you know, that kind of thing. I've had like my high school friend group that we were all there for each other, and I love them and I still love them to this day. But do I talk to them daily? No. Hopefully some people out there are like that, because I'm like that. I'm just naturally kind of a little sheltered loner my whole life. I think it's my only child syndrome. But so I was really nervous and scared about making friends, because that's something I've never been good at, even when I was living at home, so much less moving across the country. It's like, where do you begin? However, because other people are also longing for that connection, it actually makes it a little bit easier. In my experience, my first colleagues that I moved here, I worked with them, We all got fired together.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
They became like family to me through everything, and that was like my initial close community that really rallied and supported me. But then also I had unexpected community pop around me. My hair girl, shout out Marlo, and other people kind of trickled in. Connections from high school trickled back in, and people through my fiance. Like, there's just a lot of people I had no clue existed, and within a few months I was surrounded by these people at my engagement party. You know what I mean? Like, people I didn't know, people I didn't seek out to find, they just kind of found me, and that's my community, that's my people. So it can be lonely, but everyone is lonely, and your community will find you. Number 10, not to be sappy or anything, but I wish I knew before I moved to New York City that this would be my absolute most favorite chapter of my life. I mean, I don't know what's to come in my life. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how long I'm going to be here. Not like alive, but also like, yeah, that's true too. But I don't know how long I'm going to be in New York City. So recognizing that this chapter is so special and so essential for my personal growth is something that I think is important to reflect on from time to time. You know, like, who would have thought it? The way I got here is crazy to me. It was just divine timing, divine opportunity, divine connection, truly, that brought me across the country over here. And the person I was before I moved here and the person I am now are two radically different people. I've matured a lot, but at the same time, I've healed my inner child and I've embraced that side of myself. I've been able to express myself in a way I couldn't really do back home through makeup and hair and fashion and the types of people I hang out around and the types of events I go to. It's like, in this city, I go to glamorous dinners with my model friends, and we eat for free, and we look amazing, and we have a ball. And then on the opposite spectrum, I'm surrounded by super hardcore, like, punk people, you know, like, just very hardcore people. And that's another aspect of myself, another aspect of community that I need. And every day being here, I can wake up and choose what version of myself I want to be and just have fun with that for the day. I feel like I've been able to embrace every single side of myself here on all aspects, and I've grown so much, like I've said, but I've also learned that I am capable of building a life for myself. That was something that always scared me. Again, I'm an only child. I was always afraid of my future. I'm afraid of being alone. I have a lot of emotional baggage is what I'm getting at.
Emotional damage.
But I have since proven to myself that I can do something that's really hard and really scary and something that a lot of people might give up at or be intimidated by. I'm out here doing it daily and giving it my best shot, even on the days where I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like going out into the world. I still have that inner fire and excitement to just see what the day has for me and see what the city has for me. And all in all, it's just a beautiful, very special thing that I've been allowed this space and this opportunity and this life change to learn more about myself and to continue to grow into an adult. I feel like I was still a baby when I moved here. Like, the fact that when COVID started and everything, I just turned 21. So my earliest 20s were spent in lockdown and not having those adulty experiences. I was living at home. I was finishing school, and then I did more school. I decided to learn Japanese and take some Japanese and Chinese history courses just because it interested me. And so I felt like I was stuck still feeling like a kid even in my early 20s, and then just jumped into this radical shift of being a fully functioning, fully operating adult, paying taxes, paying for my car insurance, figuring out what insurance is. Have I figured out my health insurance? Not exactly, but I know I will, okay? And that's what counts. I feel like this video, all in all, kind of maybe was quite personal to me, and it might not resonate with everyone if you clicked on this wanting like 10 things to know about New York City, thinking like, oh, I'm gonna tell you what's the best train to take and what's the best coffee shop. That's not quite what this video is. This is just things that I wish I could go back in time and let my future self know and tell her to prepare for before I moved here. However, I think, I've been winging it this whole time and I've made it this far. So why not keep going? So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, it's literally the same username as here, but I'll put the @ right here. Laura Lee Lux. Would love to be your guys' friends. Leave a comment with which point resonated the most with you, or if you have any questions, want me to speak about anything further, let me know. And if you have any ideas for my next video, also please let me know. But again, please subscribe if you aren't already. Like this video. You got nothing to lose. No one's judging you for liking YouTube videos, and I will greatly appreciate it because I'm excited to keep exploring this YouTuber era that I'm in. Lots of love. Have a beautiful day. And again, thank you for being here. You matter. You are loved. And I hope you know that and carry that with you. All right. See you on the next video. Bye.